This is Pedro Predictions. There you go. I've edited the intro somewhat, alright? Okay. Alright, in this video I'm going to do my predictions on the UEFA Nations League, League B. In my opinion, League B is the most interesting and the most competitive in terms of the closeness between the teams. I think it's very unpredictable. There's not much between the teams in terms of qualities, and I'm excited to do this. Yeah, let's go for it. League B. In Group B1 we have Ukraine, Scotland, Ireland and Armenia. Feed.io, yeah buddy, using that platform. First team, Ukraine. Your people and your country are in my thoughts and in my prayers, Ukraine. In terms of football, they're quite solid, they're quite strong, they can definitely test the elite nations. They last World Cup qualification, they didn't lose a game, they won unbeaten. They drew to France twice, which in my opinion in one of the games they could have won. But they did draw to Kazakhstan twice as well, so very mixed results. Same with the Euro campaign they had. They produced good results, but then the defence just isn't sound, in my opinion. The defence is weak for their midfield and attacking, in comparison to them. I feel like Ukraine are not going to be focused on this Nations League, understandably, because let's be honest, it's only the Nations League.
Only the Nations League? How dare you!
Scotland. In my opinion, it's only really been since the last Euros qualification playoffs where I feel like Steve Clarke's philosophy has embedded more, and they are a solid team. Like, they did show it in the last World Cup qualification campaign by finishing second. Granted, their group was the simplest in my opinion, but again, took advantage of that, beat the other teams very soundly, finished second deservedly, and are in the World Cup playoffs. Quite a strong team. They've got a good defence, sound keepers who I think are underrated, good midfield. The striking option could work on, but I think they're going to have a mixed Nations League campaign. Before I go any further, I want to clarify that I am not offending Scotland, Scottish people, or Scottish football, but look, they have qualified for 8 World Cups and have never got out of the group stage. They have qualified for 3 Euro campaigns. Yes, granted, before the 90s it was only 8 or 4 teams, which is weird, but they have never got out of the group stage. As Mark, from the film Trainspotting, once famously said,
It's shite being Scottish!
Sorry for the poor attempt of the accent, but it is a hilarious film, and I will add that clip to the description section below because it is hilarious, and it very much defines British satire humour very well. Irish football has been bad recently, like the few past campaigns, but I'm very glad they've stuck with Kenny, because it's only now the past few games where Kenny's philosophy is really embedding the more kind of like quick pace, shorter passes, being closer, because Irish football has been notorious, let's not lie, of just hoofing it over and being very sound defensively. But Kenny's philosophy has really changed. And yeah, okay, there was a rusty period, but Ireland's last 12 games, they've only lost once. And that was to Portugal, and that was like in the final minutes of Ronaldo's saviour goal. So that says a lot. I see Ireland having a strong UEFA Nations League campaign. Armenia, so the last World Cup qualification campaign, they won their first 3 games, and then their next 7 games they didn't win. So their form is low, not gonna lie. And looking at the last Nations League campaign, I do think Armenia were fortunate to actually top their League C group. And not gonna lie, I do think League B is a stretch too far for them right now. Overall, I see their campaign being weak. So overall, I do see Ireland actually taking first place and getting promoted, which my Irish buddy Mick will be happy about. Scotland coming second, Ukraine in third, and sorry Armenia, but fourth and relegated. I do think it'll be very close between Ireland, Scotland, and Ukraine. Again, I'm pipping Ireland because they don't have the World Cup qualification pressure. Scotland and Ukraine's match fixtures are a bit all over the place, and of course they're going to prioritise the World Cup playoffs. But it will still be a very interesting group nevertheless. And again, please leave comments in the section below, as I am also interested what you guys have to say on this unpredictable group. In Group B2, we have Iceland, Israel and Albania, and not Russia. Shout out to all the Russians who do not agree with the conflict. Iceland, for such a small nation, they qualified for 2 consecutive tournaments in a row, Euro 2016 and the World Cup in 2018, so credit to such a small nation. But after that, there was always going to be an issue with just such a small pool talent. Last World Cup qualification, where they only picked up 2 wins in a group that, in my opinion, was very even, apart from Germany dominating it. So that was quite evident. In that World Cup qualification campaign, though, they were testing out younger players, giving them game time, which I think is the right move to do. And I think we'll see that more with Iceland in this Nations League campaign. Someone to watch for is Isak Johannesson. He's only 19. He's already scored a goal for the senior team and he looks quite good. Israel. I have a very mixed feeling about the Israeli national football team because sometimes they have good games and they score a lot of goals actually, but then other times they go the other way and actually concede a lot and do play badly. The last UEFA Nations League campaign, they did just about stay up, and it was Slovakia that got relegated in their group, so they know how to grind out results. But again, under pressure, like in the last Euro playoffs, they failed in the semi-final, so mixed results from Israel. They rely too heavily on Zahavi. He is a great, fantastic number 9, but he is 34. You can't be relying on him for goals. So I don't know where Israel's goal threats are going to come from. Solomon, only 22. He's already cemented himself in the national side. He's one to watch. Overall, I see Israel having a mixed Nations League campaign. Albania. Of recent form, I think they had a good World Cup qualification campaign. They pulled some really good results. The last UEFA Nations League campaign, they just about topped their group in a group that was not of a good quality. No disrespect to the nations. But this time round, I feel like Albania have got that good mix of the old guards from that Euros 2016 tournament to having young players in the squad, and in Broja I feel like they have a real genuine goal threat against most sides. So overall I see Albania having a good solid campaign this season. This group was difficult to predict, not gonna lie, but I am going to go with Albania getting promoted, Iceland second, Israel third, and Russia relegated for political reasons. The reason I have pipped Albania above the others is because I feel like they've got the biggest goal threat, and that goes to everywhere in the field, not just their striking force. So in my opinion, that will be the difference in this group, because I feel like this group, amongst all the other groups across all the leagues, this will be a low scoring group. Something to also note about this group is that Albania play 2 games in September, whereas Iceland and Israel would have played 3 in June and then only 1 in September. So I feel like that will play to Albania's advantage also. In Group B3 we have Bosnia and Herzegovina, which I'm just going to say Bosnia for shorthand from this point onwards in the video, which I hope doesn't offend anyone, Finland, Romania, and Montenegro. There's some interesting Balkan rivalries there, and this is going to be, not going to lie, another difficult group to predict.
Another one. Another one. Another one.
Bosnia. The last World Cup qualification campaign, Bosnia only won one game. That was to Kazakhstan. They didn't win any games at home, so their home form is looking bad. But they did draw to France away, so very, very inconsistent and mixed results at the moment. They're bringing in younger players like Ahmed Hodzic, sorry for pronunciation, in defence there. You've got Demirovic, Danilovic, so there's new players coming in, which is good to see, because admittedly the old guards from that World Cup qualification in 2014, like Žeko, Pjanic, they do need to step aside. But they still have a solid squad, and overall I see them having a decent Nations League campaign. Finland, I don't really like Finland's game plan. I find they're far too defensively. They usually have 5 at the back, and the wing backs don't even push up that much, and that's preventing them from scoring goals, I think, because they rely so much on Pukki. That's where most of their goals come from, and let's be honest, he's a great number 9, but he's 32. You can't be relying so much on that for your goal threats. Though good players, Kamara is a great midfielder, and he does great for Rangers, and they've got a young striker called Force. He looks exciting, actually. I see them having a good Nations League campaign. Romania, unlike Scotland, who took advantage of their simpler groups, I find Romania is that team when they're potted highly, like in the last qualification they were in pot 2. They don't tend to perform as well when they're expected to, and I don't know if there's an expectation amongst Romania about the Nations League this time around, but they're going to be tested in this group. I feel like though Romania don't concede that much, which is a good thing, but they don't score as many goals either. They've got young players coming through there like Agi, Mihaila, Mans, so that's really good to see. And there's still some old guards like Stanchu, Pushkash who play. So overall, I see them having a good Nations League campaign. Montenegro, they had a really good UEFA Nations League campaign last season in League C, getting promoted quite comfortably. But this time it will be different, as they will be with teams much more of their calibre or even higher, so they will be tested a lot. I feel like with Montenegro, they are an aging squad. They rely too much on Jovetic and Becheray for goals, who combine their age are 66, so it says a lot. Overall, I think they'll have a mixed campaign. So overall, I see Romania getting promoted, Finland second, Bosnia third, and Montenegro getting relegated. I think this is the closest group in League B. Like, I think each teams could take points off each other. It'll be really tight, and I actually think the gap between promotion and relegation will be the tightest in this league. And I wouldn't be surprised if my predictions are wrong. It'll just be a really tight group. The reason I've picked Romania above someone like Finland is because I feel like Romania just play more creative football. In the final group of League B, B4, we have Sweden, Norway, Serbia and Slovenia. Nice Scandinavian derby there. Sweden, I feel like they have a good blend of young players and older players. Like, you've got Isak, Kulusevski, Elanga, even in right back, Gudmundsson coming through, cementing themselves in the team. And then you've got the old guards like Olsen and goals, Forsberg, even Berg up front, and even Quaison, who acts as like a super sub. So I feel like they have a lot of depth as well, Sweden. And just coming on the back of a World Cup playoff defeat, I think they'll be really gutted with that. And I think they'll be motivated to do well. So I see Sweden having a solid Nations League campaign. Norway. I think Norway were unfortunate in the last UEFA Nations League campaign because they had to forfeit a match Otherwise, I thought they would have got promoted. Their last World Cup qualification campaign, there was a period where they were doing really well and they could have got to the playoffs or even top the group, but then it's inconsistencies in their results. Like they drew to the Netherlands, which they could have won in my opinion, but then they drew to Latvia. As a squad though, they are quite strong. They're quite young as well. You've obviously got Haaland, Ødegaard, Berger, Ayer in defence, and you've even got Joshua King up front as an option who has a good record with the national team. I think Norway's problem, why they're not reaching their full potential with the good squad they've got, is the manager or how he plays. It relies too much on Haaland, and he's still really young. He is world class, but he's got so much burden on his shoulder, and I feel like there's too much of that going on. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And a fun fact about Norway, they have never lost to Brazil. There you go, look at that. Serbia, I'm not going to go into depth about this squad because there's just so much quality everywhere, and I actually feel like all the players are peaking all at the same time. And to add to that, you've got Vlahovic, who is a quality number 9, and he's only 22, so it's really interesting what the Serbian team's got, and all credit to the new manager Stojkovic. He's got the highest win percentage for a manager of Serbia for decades, and I think he'll do wonders with this current team. So I see them having a good campaign, but I think they will be experimenting more to prepare for the World Cup. Slovenia, the last Nations League campaign, they went undefeated, got promoted, and only conceded 1 goal with a group that had Greece and Kosovo, so I felt like they did really well for themselves. Unfortunately, I do feel like this group is just a very difficult group, and Slovenia will be tested very hard. One to watch for Slovenia will be Šeško. He's only 18, but he's looking really good. So overall, I think Slovenia will have an alright campaign for themselves. Overall for Group B4, this was another one that was really difficult to predict.
Another one. Another one. Another one.
Anyway, so across the whole of League B, I feel like this is the strongest group in terms of the quality of all the teams. Like, I actually don't know how this group formed. But my predictions, I'm going to go with Sweden top in the group, getting promoted, going back to League A, Serbia second, Norway third, and Slovenia being relegated in fourth. Again, I think Serbia will just be experimenting more, so they're going to, whereas Sweden, I feel like will go for it, and they've got depth in their squad too. In terms of Norway finishing third, I just feel like they're the more likely team Slovenia have a chance against, so they will drop points against them. There you have my predictions for a really good, close, fantastic League B. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and see you in the next video. Pedro Predictions.